I'm Glenn Darcy, Vice President of Product Management for Arturia. This video is going to be a sound design tutorial on the Synclavier B. It's going to be a long video, so bear with it. By the time you get done though, you should be pretty familiar with the FM and the additive synthesis aspects of the Synclavier sound engine. Okay, so in this video, as I said, I'm going to be making a sound and showing you how to make and edit your own sounds. The Synclavier, first thing to understand is the structure of it all. So the page we're looking at right here is called the timbre page. What a timbre is what we probably call a preset in all of our other plugins. In the Synclavier specifically, though, it is a collection of a bunch of other sounds that unite to make one big sound. To demonstrate that quickly, I'll play a sound here that we all know and love. And that's a pretty complex sound if you really listen to it. There's that long sustaining part, there's this initial heart attack stuff going on. In the timbre settings alone, I can adjust all of those little pieces. And I can basically just add offsets to the amplitude or the harmonic envelope. I can change the amount of FM, and then I can change things like the overall volume. So really quickly here, I just want to change the sound. I don't want that long of a release, so let's make the release shorter. And let's make the attack a little longer. So I've successfully made that into a little bit different sound. I can remove some of the FM, and that will take out some of that brightness. So we made quite a different sound. I'll return to the original, and let's dig into this a little bit more. So at the timbre level, once again, I can offset all of the partials. But let's get into the partials. So by doing this, clicking on this little double arrows in the upper corner, I can open up the partial view. So here's the partials. You've got 12 partials. The original Synclavier only had 4, but we've taken it up and now you get 12 partials. So there's even more ability to layer sounds. This sound I happen to know very well, and it uses the maximum of the original Synclavier, which were 4. Let's quickly just kind of go over what the parameters are here. So for each partial, you have an amplitude envelope. You have a harmonic envelope. You've got your main partial settings that include volume pan, tuning, and then all your FM parameters, as well as a thing called frame speed. Over here you have an LFO for vibrato and an LFO for your stereo panning. So all 12 partials have all these same parameters. And if I click from partial 1 to partial 2, you'll see that some of these parameters change. And let's listen to the individual partials. So I'll solo it. Here's partial 1. I'll play the whole sound again first. So we solo it. It's a little thinner sounding. Let's go solo number 2. Partial 2 is just this attack section. Partial 3, a little darker. And partial 4. Almost a copy of this, just a little bit different. You can see the FM fine tune and the regular tuning is a little different than each other. A little bit of change in the amplitude envelopes. But those 4 sounds together make that. Now there's 2 ways to build up sounds in the Synclavier. There's FM, or frequency modulation, and that's where you take one oscillator and you modulate the pitch of it in a linear fashion via another oscillator. Let's first get a good starting point. We don't want to try building off of that. So let's open up our menu, and we're going to search a simple sound, and it's called simple sine. And so I just search on that, find it, double click on it, and now we've loaded the simple sine. And you can hear it's a simple sine. This sound happens to be just one partial. All the others, if you look at the volume parameter right here, volume's at 0 on all of those. So we've just got one sine wave going on. Now, probably the best way to understand this, we can do some stuff here, but I'll quickly go over this. With this simple sine, I can bring up the FM amount. And you can hear how it changes the sound. You've got a carrier wave that's a sine, and you've got a modulator above it that's a sine. Now with the FM ratio, you change the tuning between you actually are changing the tuning of the modulator with a ratio of it against the carrier. So by tuning that to different things, you can hear how it changes the overtone structure. And one thing that FM's known for is kind of generating bell sounds. If your FM ratio is not on one of the even values, say value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if it's on like 4.63 or something, it's going to generate a lot of inharmonic overtones. So this is a great way to generate like bell sounds, and that's really what FM was known for. So let's kind of kick out the release time of the amplitude. And let's change the sustain of that harmonic envelope. The harmonic envelope's basically adjusting the amount of FM. This is basically a limiting factor of how much that's going to apply to the modulation amount. So you can hear by just changing the sustain amount from and adding some release, a little bit of decay time, I turned this kind of loud thing into a bell sound. And I can change the peak, which the attack ramps up to the peak. And we've quickly made an FM bell. Not too difficult with FM. Like I said, you can stumble across those pretty easily. So I'm going to reload our simple sine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some FM. There's a lot more features and functionality that you can do within these, and we do that by accessing them via the screen. So to change the waveforms of the current partial, you can see we've got partial 1 selected. These are the sine waves that I was talking about with your carrier and your modulator. And so I can change the harmonic structure using my pencil tool up here by just drawing in harmonics. So you can hear it's changed the character of the FM. I can also now change the modulator. The original Synclavier only allowed for a sine wave. It always had the amplitude, or had the 24 harmonics for the carrier, but not for the modulator. So this is an addition that Cameron Jones did to the engine for us. And you can hear that changing the modulator up does some more drastic sounds. One thing that you can do is you can change the phase of the waveforms as well. And you won't really hear a lot with the carrier when you change the phase. There's some subtle changes that happen. You get a lot, though, with the modulator. So you can hear by just drawing different things in both sides here, you can get some kind of craziness going on. Now I'm going to edit the envelope, and I'm going to do that here in the envelope screen. So these are the same exact parameters that are right here, but just shown graphically. So you can see here's your delay, attack, peak, decay, sustain. So we've got 0 decay, so let's take the decay time up a bit so we can just see it a little bit better. So I can drag things around, but we're going to deal with the harmonic envelope right now. So let's take the sustain down. And you can see where I'm playing it. Now one thing I can do is I can drop this peak, and that's going to change my FM amount. So now I can go back and forth here. And I can just kind of draw random things and come up with stuff. And then change my FM amount via the peak. And I can do it via the sustain level as well. So really the only things that we've done here is we've changed some harmonics, and we changed our harmonic envelope a little bit. But that's really all that we've done from that simple sine, and we've gotten quite a drastically different sound going here. So let's go back to our simple sine. Now I've kind of shown you a bunch with the FM. Now let's get into the additive. Right now we're back to just the sine wave, no FM. In this time slices page, this is going to allow me to draw our harmonics as we've done. And I can choose different harmonics over here. I can choose odds or evens or octaves or fifths. I'm going to leave it on all for right now. I can use some of the other tools here, and you can look all this stuff in the manual, but you can offset the parameters. You can draw straight linear lines. But that sound doesn't do anything over time. And really, the harmonic envelope doesn't affect your additive, it just affects your FM amount. So while I can change it over time like this, timbrely it's not shifting over time. So we want to be able to change our additive stuff over time, and that's what the time slices do. That's why this window is called time slices. So up here we've got our a timeline all in seconds. So we're going to zoom in here a little bit. And I can see that I've got this at the 0 second point, but now I'm going to go click and add a frame at 3 seconds. And you can see it's added this other one that's just a simple sine wave. But what it does is it'll morph from this setting to this setting. And I can click more in between here. And all of a sudden the sound becomes a little bit more interesting, actually quite a bit more interesting. I can move things closer and further back by just grabbing it and dragging it. So maybe we want that first sound to be kind of a quick attack. Or we can draw it out and make it more ambient. So you can start to hear there's a lot that you can do with this. Now one thing that we can also add, and once again I'll bring up my FM amount. Let's give us a little bit. Now when I play it, you're going to hear all this FM going on each of these things. So now I can go in here and I can change my harmonic envelope over time. So it's changing my FM amount over time. So that's pretty, getting pretty gnarly there. So I wouldn't always just want one or the either. What would be nice to be able to do is to set how much FM is on each one of these. And this is another thing that we've actually brought to the engine that was not on the original, is the amount of modulation. So on that first piece, that's way too much FM. So right here in this modulation parameter, I can turn that down. And it's going way too high on it again. Maybe I'll take it all the way out. We'll combine a little bit. So now between changing the harmonic structures over time and changing the FM amounts over time, you've got a huge sound making potential here. You can do crazy amounts of things. Now, granted, this is all with one partial. Yeah, I can take that one partial, I can add some voice chorus to it. And then we could even, go into the effects here, and let's kick in a bit of delay. A little bit of delay, not a whole lot. Oh, let's do a whole lot. And we can add a little bit of reverb in here as well. So very quickly, you can see you can build up some crazy stuff. What I'd always suggest is start off with this simple sine, and then start just playing with it. Adjust your FM ratios, your FM amounts. Play with your harmonic envelope settings. Go into your time slices. Start adding points and just draw some waves and see what you get with it. You'll quickly be generating your own sounds. Let's go back to our simple sine. I'll show you some other parameters here that will really help sculpt your sound out as well. So let's go to 3 seconds. We'll draw in something. And we'll go to 1 second and draw something totally different here. Now, one thing I can do is I can put delay times between these. So right now you can hear it smoothly goes from one to another. What I can do is I can say, let's hold on that first sound for a second. And then let's go hold on that second one for half a second before it goes into the third. So now I can start creating other temporal kind of things. I can take the fade time down to nothing if I want. And it's going to step through it. I can pull those, tighten them up a little bit. Starts to sound a little bit like an old PPG as it's kind of wave scanning through the different wave files. I can also transpose different steps. And if I add some delay time and turn down the fade. I can even sequence things. So, if I loved the settings of that first one, let's draw something. Okay, I've decided I love that sound. So I can copy it and I can go paste that sound into different areas. See, here it doesn't do anything, but maybe I just want to sequence something. I can create some pitch sequences. And, you know, I can take down the fade times, take up the delay times. Let's do this to all of them. Down the fade, up the delay, down the fade, up the delay. So you can build sequences on each partial totally separate. Now, one thing quickly that I can show you is this frame speed. So this is a new thing also that we've added, and it allows you to speed up and slow down. So all this manual adjusting I did there, I can actually tighten them all up with this frame speed. So I can slow them down. Or I can kick it up a little bit. So frame speed deals directly with this timeline. It's basically shrinking and contracting or expanding that timeline. So you can do all of this stuff for all 12 partials. You can build up some incredibly cool sounds using a combination of FM and additive synthesis. The Synclavier V is just a sound designer's dream. It's been so much fun for me personally to get to work in this system, and I know that our sound designers have loved it as well. It's a very different approach to building sounds than what most people are used to, but you can see that the Synclavier makes it fairly simple. Really, you can use these 3 knobs and these 6 knobs and generate a whole lot of differences with a single partial. You know, you add that to going into your time slices, click on a couple things, draw some waves. You've created a whole bunch of other things. That's really not difficult at all. We've made it very simple in the way that you can access all this stuff. So I would really just say, you know, play with it, get into it, delve into it, have a good time with it. Now it's time to talk about the modulation matrix. The modulation matrix gives you the ability to route any of these different control sources to any of these modulatable destinations. We'll do a quick example here. One thing that people do a lot is velocity to volume. Now I can sit here and just adjust the values. They go positive or negative from the center point here. I can double click it and reset it to the center point of 0. One thing I can also do is I can select multiple partials here, just as you can in the other windows, and I can adjust multiple things. I can also offset some of these from each other, and when I'm using the master, it will now retain those offsets. But for now, we're just going to work in partial 1 really quickly. So we've loaded up our simple sine. We've got velocity going to volume. I'm going to turn this up, and let's take a listen to it. I'll play soft velocities and then hard ones. That's soft, and that's hard. And you hear no difference. The reason is that the volume's turned all the way up on this partial. So for that volume to get any louder, there's kind of nowhere for it to go. So we have to pull this back. So now when I play soft velocities, and when I play harder ones, so you can hear that there's actually some gain change now in the volume. Let's do another example. Let's take aftertouch. And let's route that to the FM amount. So we've just taken that, and we're basically controlling this knob right here via the aftertouch. I can dial back how much I want here. I just want a little bit. I have 16 different different source destination combinations here, so I can we'll route some other stuff here. We've got velocity going to FM amount as well. So you can hear as I'm playing different velocities that it's changing the brightness, the FM amount, as well as the volume here. The modulation matrix is a great way to start adding life to your sounds that you build now. One powerful sound design tool is the ability to copy and paste partials. This will allow you to quickly build on an existing sound by copying a partial and then duplicating it and adjusting the copy. You can also take pieces of other sounds, copy them, paste them into your own presets. We're going to start with our simple sine here. And I'm going to make a quick bass sound with it. So I'm just going to add some FM amount. I'm going to drop down the sustain, give it a little bit of decay, drop the peak a bit. So this is the sound we have. So I'm going to build on this. So I'm going to copy that partial by selecting it first and then clicking copy, and you'll see it flash. Then I'm going to go to partial 2 and I'm going to paste it. So now we've got both of them copied in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop number 2 down an octave. So now you can hear a little bit clearer. You get that sound down low, and you get that sound up high. So let's quickly save this. We're going to rename it and call testing 1, 2, 3. And put it in a separate bank. Give it a type. I'm not going to give it characteristics right now, but you could. And we're going to save it. So now we've got a preset up here, testing 1, 2, 3. So now I want to add some other things into this. I'm going to go pick out some different sounds here. So let's look at this other sound here, clockwork bass. So I'm going to take some of the things of clockwork bass and add it into my other sounds. So let's solo out these partials real quick. Little thinner version of partial 1. Kind of a nice round sound. I like that one. So I'm going to copy that partial. I'm going to go back, load up my testing 1, 2, 3 sound. And I'm going to go on and paste that into another partial. So I can just pick and choose. I know that we've got 1 and 2 used, so I'm going to go on and paste into number 3. So now our sound went from this to, which is nice. So I'm going to go on and save that, and let's add something else just for fun. There's a sound odd run. And there's kind of a nice low end thing going on in there. So let's solo out. That's not it. Let's look at number 4. That's the one I like. So, and just for fun, let's see what's on number 5. So I like 4 and 5. So I'm going to choose 4, and then I'm going to shift click 5 so that you can see they're both selected. I'm going to copy both of those. We're going to go back in. We're going to load up my testing 1, 2, 3 sound. And so now I've got those two. I'm going to paste those two into this sound here. So we've got 1, 2, 3. I could paste into 4 and 5, but just for a different example here, I'm going to paste into 7 and 8. So I choose 7. Because I have 2, it's going to select and paste it into those 2. And you see it flash. So now our sound is. So you can hear that's a very quick and easy way to start building sounds. You can make your own sounds by copying pieces of other sounds that you like.